musicians. Last couple of weeks ago, I worked with my sister, who's a viola player. It was the first time I'd done that, and it was a bit like, is this going to work? But we talked about it. I explained sort of how, to make people feel, what kind of practice I was to be teaching, and it came together really beautifully. I mean, the viola had a beautiful resonance. So for me, I feel like, it can go anywhere in a sense. I think just as long as the intention's right, the musician or the DJ understands the yoga process, I think, it could be something that's, that I continue to do in lots of different guises.
And a cool thing to mention as well is, and this is also a little, a short commercial for for Katja Grineva. But you and I, we were this summer we were in an immersion where Katja played the piano, and Katja Grineva, anyone who don't know her, she is a most incredible classical pianist. Who I think is just mind-blowing, and she was playing for us while we were doing a class, and me and Keri were next to each other when we walked out, and then Keri said to me, like, wow, I should really do that with my sister, like, she plays the violin, like, that would be so amazing. So it's also, I think, so great to sort of see, like, music can be also inspire. It's such an inspiration, isn't it? Like, it's, you were in that class and you were thinking, you could already visualize it, and then it made me so happy to hear that you actually did that with your sister. So
it was amazing. It took a little bit of time to pin my sister down. She's in an orchestra, and she travels the world. She's amazing. Her name is Nicola Hicks. I should mention her name. That's it. Plug in for my sister.
That's it.
And exactly. It was in that moment where we were practicing side by side, in New York, with Katia playing the piano, that I thought, whoa, okay, this is so inspiring. It's really, and also I find that, yoga is a moving meditation. It's about focusing on the breath. Mm-hmm. But music can really help you through and really help you through those moments when you're thinking, oh gosh, I can't do this, or your brain's it's going off to a different place. Music can pull you back in, you back into your breath. So
and helps with the focus, of course, as well.
Exactly. So and why can't that be a beautiful classical instrument? So that's definitely the moment I just had that light bulb moment. Was like, I need to get my sister to do this with me.
And I think both the piano and the violin are very emotional instruments. Like how they just hit you, in your heart, and I think that's a beautiful. I mean, I love the strings. I think it's, just feel it go.
Yes, exactly. Well, she plays the violin and the viola, but this was the viola, which I think to me has this beautiful, deeper resonance, and it was absolutely stunning, and hopefully we could do more of those.
Yeah, that's really isn't it really special to do it with your sister? I have to say, I'm sure that's also.
It was really cool.
And this was your first collaboration with her?
Yeah.
So cool.
Yes, and so she definitely enjoyed it. So we're going to talk about doing some more sessions.
And is there also are there challenges also when you do these like kind of like live music classes, or when you're working with We Are Boogie Sound? Are there also some tricky parts of it?
I think because I'm quite loose. I don't like to, even when I don't know whether you feel the same. Sort of, you prepare a class, you have your sort of blueprint for the class often. Obviously if you're doing a Jivamukti class, obviously, you have to, do certain things, but, sometimes you have to kind of, I don't know, like adapt, because, maybe you're teaching a class that's never done yoga before, or, and you've got to kind of go a little bit with the flow. So I think sometimes, and then when you're working with somebody else and they're a musician and they have their own creative experience, I think sometimes maybe you kind of just have to trust in the process, but sometimes the process is not always what you kind of envisage, because there's kind of there's various creative people in the pool, so you kind of have to just let go a little bit of your vision if you had something quite tight, and just kind of go with the flow. So I guess that's the only thing. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not sure that is a well, I guess it is a challenge, just to kind of let things go the way they're meant to go, and not be too tight.
Because are most of the musicians you work with people you don't know?
No, most of them are people that I do know. Okay. So like when I'm sort of like, I might give them a little look like, oh, that's a little bit too loud, or that's a little bit too, up tempo, or that kind of thing. So, but it's mainly people that know me. So we have, and I think that's quite important to have that relationship, so you can kind of, sort of tap into each other where people are at. So.
And do you do them regular? Like, do you do them like? Is it always happening once a month, or are you kind of like? Do you do them on different time bases, or like when do you do these events?
So they're generally a couple of times a month, and with different people in different places. I think one of the things that I'm looking at doing right now is to get a more of a regular platform, because you're and this is kind of the business side of things. You're building a following. People are coming, people are waiting for the next one, and then you're sort of like, oh, the next one might be,
exactly.
in 3 weeks, it might be here. So I think to have some consistency, and
it's good, right?
It's really important, and to bring in the right people. So whether it's different brands that I'm starting to work with who share the same ethos as me, I think is really important. I love working with, doing well-being weeks with brands or businesses as well. So that's something that I'm doing, and bringing in the music, obviously the music element with that. So so hopefully it's going to be something that's more regular on the calendar, and in sort of like a, at a certain venue, once or twice a month would be fantastic.
Because you're doing these events on top of teaching just regular classes, right?
Yeah, so I'm teaching less regular classes now, and doing more experiences. So doing the We Are Boogie Sound experiences with a DJ, a live musician, which is kind of a consumer-facing thing. But then also I work with companies. So I go in, I do classes, sort of corporate classes, but then I also put on sort of wellbeing weeks. So, talk about how to use breath work in a stressful situation. So understand what happens to the body, how yoga can help with anxiety and stress. So I do a lot of that stuff as well.
Yeah.
And obviously I have my private clients as well, and working specifically with people with music talent. Yeah. That's something that I really am quite passionate about. Particularly because, in my career, I worked as I said, I worked with a lot of emerging artists and actually established artists. And, music is, the music industry is amazing, but also it comes with its massive downsides. And unfortunately, mental health is not great in the music industry, you're a musician, a singer, you understand that there's being a creative, there's a lot of challenges that comes with creative, especially in the music environment. It's, a lot of pressure. It's not very, not always very grounded. You're touring a lot. You kind of get picked up and dropped, and, the creative process it isn't always the most nurturing of environments. So, mental health can be, is a bit of a problem. So what I wanted to do, because I work with musicians, I understand how, the lifestyle is to bring yoga to music artists. Yeah. And so I'm working with more music artists and sort of helping them, physically, because obviously yoga is great for you physically. So, you're on the road, you're on buses, you're carrying heavy instruments, so how yoga can help your physical body, but obviously your emotional and mental health as well can really be helped with with yoga, having a practice.
Yeah, because when you're saying like you're doing these classes for specifically the music industry, you're looking at it very differently from a different perspective then as well, right? You're really also really looking at the mental state even more than in a normal, as we say, normal yoga class, because you don't really know what the I mean,
I guess I think
it's good. It's very good that you because I think what you're saying is really interesting, because I think a lot of people don't. I mean, it's the same with activism. Like activists also don't look after themselves, and I think musicians have the same. Also, I think in being on the road, and also like a lot of times you're always out. You're out late. You go to bed late. Your body is going to respond to that. Yeah,
absolutely. I think creatives in general, are more predisposed to mental health issues.
Yeah.
You're giving so much of yourself, and and I think about musicians, we're all kind of, happily, dancing around to Adele's songs, but that is her life that she's kind of like put out there for us to kind of gobble up and just, so I think it takes so much of, out of you as a creative to,
Absolutely.
to produce beautiful work like that. And I think that, and then as I said, you can be predisposed to these issues. And then also, there's a lot of, drugs and alcohol and, out there. And it's not always, I don't know. It can cause issues if you're not feeling grounded, and you go and you go on stage, for instance. It's a massive high. You come back. There's like your rider. You're smashing like a JD and Coke, and then you're having another one to bring yourself down, and then you're doing it again and again, and that does have a wear and tear on your health. Not to be like a killjoy or anything, and that can obviously be a problem sometimes. So I think having the option or having an alternative way of doing things where I've got a mindfulness practice or a yoga practice or a meditation practice, so I'm feeling grounded, so I'm not kind of get so carried away with the highs and the lows of that lifestyle. I think that can really help. I really do.
And I think it's also really good to pinpoint in that specific industry what is happening, like what's happening to your mental state, or and also your physical body. We've got to look after that. I think it's really and it's really good. I mean, there's even, I think, in Jivamukti as well, Jivamukti yoga, I think it attracts a lot of like artists and famous people. I mean, Sharon, co-founder of Jivamukti, Sharon and David, they work a lot with Sting, and Sting even in an interview said like that Sharon is the reason why he still looks so young, like kind of also, I think it, and there's also some famous actors who rave about Jivamukti, because I think, and this is Jivamukti, it can be any yoga. I think it's good when you have such a crazy, busy lifestyle where you're continuously giving to people. It's good to also, take a minute for yourself,
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's good. It's really good that you have that focus, for sure.
Yeah, I think, I've had, when I think about music people, I've had this insight. I've been lucky enough to, hang out with some amazing music people. And, I think that's my sort of attempt to give back to an industry which I am absolutely passionate about, and to music talent I'm actually absolutely passionate about. So I love it. And I think, the only difference is, I think, that, teaching a class of everybody rather than teaching a class of musician is just that, I can be a bit more focused, because as you said, I understand that these are the different issues that they face. Yeah. So that's the only difference. What I put into it is the same. Music is always a key element. So, and I love it. I get a lot out of it.
And do you have like favorite music? Is there a specific music that you love the most?
To play in the class?
Or just for you for your
in
personal
general?
interest? Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's I don't think I do. I listen to a lot of classical music now, especially when I'm driving,
Yeah,
because
that's
that really
good.
helps with road rage
Yeah, I just want to
and
say,
getting
yeah.
stressed, like especially when you're driving around London, although I try not to drive around London too much.
And it's so
So
surreal, isn't it? Sometimes it's like
yeah.
my friend. I had a friend in Sydney, and